The internet is on, and we are on it. Live and alive.
Should be a great one.
Shout out to all 6 sick fucks joining us live after that one.
Sometimes you get the rage watching. So who knows? And remember, I mean, I guess the YouTube people still get this whether they're watching it live or not. So no shout out to the non-sick fucks that are watching the recorded version.
Before I was affiliated, I definitely would not. I would try to distance myself as far as I could to
After
anything.
a game like this.
After a loss, after something like this, I would just try to remove sports from my head.
It's
CJ
funny.
asking for permission to leave right now. Just go. Just get the
I'm gonna
fuck
head
out.
out.
We all just sit here. Silence.
It's funny. Pods like this, like the download numbers end up getting there, but it usually takes like longer. I feel like people go back to it when they're feeling better about it.
Yeah. They got to process it overnight, and then like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right. Let me
Give it a
watch
couple
this.
days. Oh, man. Eyelid hurts. All this and my eyelid hurts. Fuck.
Only up from here, I guess. Unless your other eyelid starts to hurt.
Oh, there we go. The comments are already good. Process failed. Hate watch. Oh, yeah. Welcome. And before we get going, I guess, welcome to the Celtics fans. Welcome to the Raptors fans and the Nuggets fans who hate listen to the podcast after a bad Sixers loss. They fucking love it.
Welcome. Happy to have you.
Glad to have you. All right. Here we go. Stupid fucking podcast. Been doing it my whole life. Won't ever end. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by BodyBio. Be good to your cells. Get 20% off anything at bodybio.com with code RTRS20. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. And of course, Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, Mike is back, but the Sixers are not, seemingly still on vacation after losses to the Suns and the Bucks. They totally shit the bed versus the Pistons. As the Pistons come through in the fourth quarter, much as the Sixers should have. Along with that, Joel Embiid no longer the betting favorite to win MVP as the national media whines about all NBA voting. Maybe the Sixers players don't like Doc Rivers anymore. And speaking of Sixers players, there might be 1 or 2 or 3 that maybe can't play in Canada because of vaccine rules. It's a lot of fun. Before we get going, I did mention kinetic skateboarding. The weather is getting warm, which means, first of all, t-shirts, shorts, you need to gear up on that stuff. New sneakers, you need to you got to get ready for spring and summer, and kinetic skateboarding is where you do it. Brand new t-shirts, brand new shorts, sneakers you can't get anywhere else. And, of course, if you're a skateboarder, which I know there are many of, lots of skateboarders. You can't go anywhere else but Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. And one final plug, if you're listening to the podcast, you can watch the podcast both on YouTube, which we've mentioned before, but also on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, tap the thing and you can watch us be miserable. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
The We Were Right song really hits different after a game like that. Welcome to the Rice and Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who we will find out if he is still a playoff motherfucker and no longer a regular season bitch as the regular season tests him and tests all of us. That is one Mike Levin. Welcome back, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's nothing more regular season than losing to the Pistons.
Mm-hmm. After losing to the Bucks and also losing to the Suns.
Sure. But I was gone for that. That didn't count.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, look. This is the worst version of this team. It was incredibly ISO heavy over and over again, insisting upon it.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't look cohesive at any point. I'm sure Doc is giving a press conference right now saying, like, we just didn't run our stuff. And I'm just, like, dying to know what stuff is. Like, a simple word, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't find it. I'm at a point where I look at this team and I go, like, James Harden should graduate to the Chris Paul on the Rockets level of, like, load sharing. Maxey needs to be doing more. And there's just too many times when he's just, like, kind of standing there, and he's too good for that. And you don't want Harden to be commanding this many possessions over and over and over again, because his groin doesn't look right. His explosiveness is not quite there. He's forcing it. I don't mind when he goes and decides to, like, finish through contact because he's strong like that. But when he's just grifting for fouls, they're not giving it to him. They give it to him sometimes, but they don't give it to him enough, and they're certainly not going to give it to him in the playoffs when it matters. So I would love Maxey to have the ball more and for the ball to pop more. But, like, this is they're too often they don't have, like, a set they can go to. They just go, like, ISO, and they revert back to like the kind of worst versions of themselves. So it didn't look good. I'm not, like, crazy worried. I'm not, like, crazy confident either, but nice middling podcast take.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is that, like, there are going to be games like this. I grant you and grant anyone who is listening to this going, there are going to be games like this, for sure. However...
And the Pistons have looked good lately.
Yeah.
Or as good for the Pistons.
However, after the loss to the Suns and the loss to the Bucks, I'm fine with them for the first half dicking around for a little bit. But then when the third quarter starts, you just, like, we can talk about the coach and the bench, all that, but, like, the main guys have to just put their foot on the throat of this other team, and they didn't do it. And Harden looks fucking terrible. He is totally skilled, but he is skilled in the same way that some, like, 54-year-old dude at a gym can, like, who was really, really good at one point, can still shoot and can still pass and all that kind of stuff. But just, like, Isaiah Stewart, like, just fucking ate him up, like, 4 different times on the perimeter. Isaiah Stewart's like a power forward or a center. Like, he has nothing to go to in difficult situations besides the step back. And I am just terrified, forgetting about this game, I'm terrified that we can talk about Maxey all we want, and I agree with you that he should get more possessions, but the graduating to the Chris Paul thing doesn't happen unless you have Devin Booker waiting there ready to be, like, first team all NBA. And Tyrese Maxey is certainly not in that position. And this team's not going to win a championship with James Harden graduating to, like, the, you know, just sort of there when you need him. And by the way, Chris Paul is way better in crunch time than James Harden is. He's way, way better. What are we even fucking saving him for? Chris Paul in the fourth quarter of a game can get literally any shot he wants. Any shot he wants. If he wants a 16-footer, he goes and he gets it and he makes it. And he's also a guy that's been criticized for not getting it done in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But I would trust him way more than I would trust Harden. I guess just my question is, if we're load managing him, what is it like for? Does he have that gas in the fourth quarter? Because I don't think he does. He better be. We had question to email. We had question to YouTube comment. People are begging somebody to tell them that he is just sort of like sleepwalking and waiting for the playoffs, which I guess is possible. But when you have a history like his, and they're sort of in the situation that they are, I don't think he's granted that leniency at this point, if that's what he's doing. And they just look bad. And when they look bad, they just have a shitty energy to them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just the worst energy.
For
just,
sure.
you know, everybody's got their arms up in the air. And
yeah, I mean, the difference between those teams, to clarify the Chris Paul and Harden point from Houston a couple years ago, is that Joel Embiid is here and wasn't on that team. And so they're not going to be as good as Harden of a couple years ago, and Maxi's not Chris Paul level now. But Joel Embiid is there.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
Yeah, I think that there is another gear to Harden. Obviously, I think that there's a playoff version. I think that he occasionally defaults back to too much grifting and reaching for fouls, and that's when you see him just like throw his arms up, and the defense is now on offense and scoring an easy bucket at the other end. But as far as I don't think it's like load managing or like even calling it like, it's just, this is the regular season and we should acknowledge that it's regular season, and you're going to need some level of bench play, which they just haven't had for any level of consistent stretch this season, outside of maybe Niang for a little bit, although he's fallen off here and there. He's playing 38 minutes a night. Like, this shouldn't be the case. And part of that is on Morey for sure, because for whatever reason at the deadline did not improve the bench. Got worse from the bench based on the trades that they had to make, and Drummond is obviously a better player than DeAndre Jordan and at this point Paul Millsap. So yeah, I mean, look, I just think you look around at this team and I think that they're capable of doing a lot. I think they have always, Joel Embiid for his career, for better or for worse, and I think sometimes for worse, has played up or down to his competition a lot. I think his teams take on his type of personality, and they find themselves in close games too often because he has a level of like, he's so good, which he is, that like there's a coast to him and to his teams, and Harden is obviously that times a million. And it'd be nice to see this team just like bury teams, but they're just not that. There are some good things about this game. Some good, like Embiid was still 37 and 15, which is ridiculous. Yeah. It's frustrating to see him like having to go ISO so much and not just get points within the offense, because that's why he had 7 turnovers, because they just kept picking his pocket from behind over and over again because there was nothing else going aside from isolation, turnaround, post up, and then here comes like Corey Joseph or whoever to poke the ball out.
But that's just one of my. Obviously, he's responsible for those turnovers, but I agree with you. Like, if he's the only one creating offense in the fourth quarter, then just to your point, I just don't even have fucking Harden stand in the corner and let Maxey go or something in the fourth. I just need
more fluidity. Like when Harden, the first 5-6 games of Harden being here, there was movement, there was catching and going, there was swinging the ball, there was like, same side pick and roll and then flip to the other side, and everyone's like getting to their spots. It seemed like they were playing with like a freedom of like the ball could always come to me. And now it seems like Harden has gone back to the kind of incredibly like chess PC type, you stay here and you're stationary here type moves for a lot of the games. Sometimes Matisse will cut and he'll find him, and that's nice, but so much is just like standing here. I drive. I know there's a guy in that corner. I know there's a guy on this wing if I do that. And it's just, there's a lack of fluidity to it, and it feels very rigid. And when he's not getting the calls, or the shots aren't falling, or the step back's not falling, it's hard to unlock the rest of his game. And it seems like he is stubborn and Doc is stubborn, and there's not enough of just like, let's try something else. Let's try Maxey Embiid pick and roll. Let's try, some high-low situation. Let's try anything.
Well,
it just seemed like they just kept going back to like isolation in this game, and they turned the ball over how many times? Like 30.
And by the way, you need a MOC brought this up to me earlier today. He was talking about PJ Tucker and Ariza during the Houston Harden teams. You need players who are fine standing there and shooting off the catch and then balling out on defense as well without really touching the ball very much. It takes a certain kind of player, and the roster certainly isn't.
No, it wasn't built for it, for sure.
Stacked with
I mean, like, and the bench, people are shitting on the bench. I think it's partially, obviously, as I said, Daryl's fault for not getting better players back there. Some of it is just like it's a bad year for them hitting shots. Danny seemed like he's aged 1,000 years over the course of the last season. And Niang has gone cold. Shake doesn't have a quick trigger, but he's a helpful NBA player, and he's fine enough on both ends. DeAndre is pretty clueless. Doc almost played B-ball Paul the other night. What a nice quote that was. I almost did.
Instead, he just let Paul Millsap be eaten alive and 5 times by.
I am excited to see. First of all, the regular season's a slot. I think the Sixers also, like, they look at their schedule. I think the Sixers and Embiid is the most, like, aware of what's going on person in the league, to the point that sometimes it's detriment. Like, he is. I feel like there's some guys, like probably John Moran is an example of this guy, who's like, I don't even know that that's going on. We shut out all the noise.
Right.
We're just, like, having a good time. We're playing basketball. And Embiid is, like, looking at the schedule and, like, thinking about where he's going to, like, where the hotel's going to be. And he's like, okay, I can maybe arrest that game. He's like a fantasy basketball player in a way. And that's why we love him, and he's fun that way. But I think it's also, like, I think he's just, like, saw that the schedule, the Sixers rest of the season is incredibly easy, one of the easiest in the league. And the team is responding to that. They didn't come here to play. Embiid played well individually, but the team didn't at all. And hopefully it's a fucking kick in the dick that they can wake up and finish the regular season strong, so they don't have to face Boston or Toronto in the first round.
It's fucking terrible if they do. BodyBio doesn't make you feel terrible. BodyBio is a great local supplement company. It's family owned, family operated, South Jersey. BodyBio, your supplements. You're like, oh, what do I need to take supplements for? You need to take butyrate. Butyrate is a postbiotic for your gut. You are more bloated than you know. Maybe you know you're bloated. Maybe you feel it after lunch at work, like the rest of the day until you go to bed. You feel bloated. You're like, oh. What you need to do is take butyrate after you eat. Don't worry. It's natural. Your body makes butyrate. It just doesn't make enough of it. And that is why BodyBio comes along and they give you sodium butyrate. Again, it's spelled Butyrate. You hear a lot about gut supplements, but butyrate, if you're only going to take one, that is the one that you need to take. Make you stop feeling bloated all the time. It'll make you more regular, which is amazing. You love being regular. And it's all you have to worry about. And you can't overdose on butyrate. It's not, well, I guess you could. I don't know. Tell me, Mike, send me an email, Mike from BodyBio. I don't know. But take the 2 pills after you eat, butyrate. You're going to feel better, I promise. Use code RTRS20 at bodybio.com, RTRS20 at bodybio.com. You can use it for butyrate. You can use it for liposomal vitamin C. You can use it for Elite, anything at the store. RTRS20, bodybio.com. BodyBio. All right. What were we talking about before I started talking about?
I mean, I'm just excited. I think I interrupted myself to talk about something else, but I'm excited to see this team in a playoff series, regardless of who it is. Like, they could lose to anybody. We know this. Like, they could, for some reason, the Sixers generally, and the only constant is Embiid or us. So whether it's us or the Sixers or Embiid, they can look horrendous against anybody at all. And they can also play with their competition. And you think about, like, obviously the iconic Raptors series from a few years ago. To me, as much as it'd be nice to be like, okay, we got Cleveland, or okay, we got Chicago, which is the team that the Sixers seem to play well against.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They should beat they're going to have to beat teams if they're thinking that they're a contender. So as much as it'd be nice to, like, sort of handpick it, I don't give a shit. Like, they'll play whoever they fucking play, and they got to play a lot better than this. But I am excited to see, because Embiid and Harden are both such brilliant basketball minds. Not saying that about Doc, but Embiid and Harden are. And so I'm excited to see, like, what they together look like in a 7-game series against whoever they play is going to be a pretty good team, at least. So I'm looking forward to that and watching even though the last couple games have been rough, they've been fine since Harden's been here. If you look at it in its totality, there's been individual frustrations, but in its totality since Harden's been here, it's been like fine. Has it been excellent? No, but it's been fine. And so let's get to the playoffs and let's see what they can do.
Only team I'm feeling pretty good about is Chicago. Being honest with you, I would feel awful about playing Toronto. I would feel awful about playing Boston. I would feel awful about playing Brooklyn. And I agree with you. Look, you're gonna have to play them eventually anyway. But I would rather like let one of the teams knock another one of the teams off or something and not have to play.
I know, but remember last year?
I know.
Like, at this point, just like give me the. Right. Let's play fucking Brooklyn round one. Let's play Miami. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter.
Honestly, if you get Boston round one, maybe they don't have Robert Williams. Maybe it's better that way.
I'd rather be faced right away with like, wake the fuck up. Like, this is the playoffs and you have to be better, and you're James Harden and you're Joel Embiid. Like, if you're as good as you think you are, you shouldn't lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I agree with you. That's a tremendous take. I completely agree. You did hint at, or you mentioned that Doc said in the last game that he almost played B-ball Paul, but instead played Mill. But he took a step by not playing DeAndre Jordan, but he put Paul Millsap in there, who, God bless him, but got eaten alive. This is my official statement on Doc Rivers, which is very similar to my official statement on Brett Brown. Even though I think Brett Brown's a better coach than Doc Rivers, but that is my official statement is, as much as he fucks things up, it's still, they're not going to win because of him, and they don't really lose because of him. He is not additive in any way, but like at the end of the day, you can't say you have the top 3 player MVP in Embiid, top 10 player in James Harden. We're all talking about Tyrese Maxey being like the steal of the draft, and in a redraft he goes 3rd, and like all this shit. You can't have all that shit and say, oh, by the way, the coach is putting in the backup center, and that's why they didn't win a title. So I understand why it can be frustrating, and I'm frustrated too. It seems like he's trying to punish us by not at least trying one of the rookies. But
yeah, he's a fun king at least. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a million reasons why you lose, right? Like, yeah. I don't think Doc is the only one. I don't think the fact that the Sixers don't have like one more guy who can do a little bit of everything. Like, if they had Justin Holiday, who's a little bit better than at defense than kind of anybody on the Sixers bench, and good enough at shooting, former Sixer, by the way, and has like a little bit of, at least can dribble the basketball to the rim, would they be that much better? Not that much, but a little. And like those like little, it's every little like inch here, inch there, like a lot of stuff. I get frustrated. One of my pet issues is like off-target passes just in the general vicinity of shooters. And there were so many times tonight, especially passes to Tobias. If you throw it at him in his shooting motion, then like he's he's like such a better shooter. But like Embiid just throwing it like over his head or at his ankles or something like that, and it's not getting to him and stuff. So it's just it's like inches either way. And Doc is one of those inches because he makes some like he admittingly doesn't like want to run offense, and he's a fucking veteran coach that doesn't trust the young guys, and blah 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 blah.
Anything else from what do you make of the everything's a fucking report now? Who is the ringer guy that said that the Sixers don't like Doc Rivers?
I don't know. There was one player who said that they don't like Doc, and
did Danny? Well, okay.
It seemed like it was Danny, right? That was the. What other Sixers reporter is like friends with the media? Like, it's Danny, Mr. Podcast.
Yeah. Well, Embiid did sort of take a shot at the strategy after the Milwaukee game by saying that he should have matched up the minutes with him and Giannis. But then also, yeah, Danny, who just is doing a podcast as if he doesn't know that the season is still going on, I think, sometime. And then somebody from the Ringer.
Listener question for Danny: do you know that there's still games?
Wozni Lambre from the Ringer said that the report was something like he was talking to somebody who was close to people on the team, and they're like, "Yeah, they're not into Doc." This is all just a setup to fire Doc after they fucking lose in the second round.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Remember, Joel wanted Doc and not Ty Lue. Let's remember that.
He was wrong to do that. Although then Daryl and Ty just got into like a weird like executive beef, which is bizarre. I thought Matisse played okay tonight. Defensively, like he had a bunch of really nice plays on Cade. Cade's a good player. He's really good.
I was wrong about him. I thought he was going to be too slow. He's fucking good.
He's good, man. I love guys that can play that like composed and smooth and can get to their spots. And he's also like a good shooter. He's not just a, smooth distributor. Like he's actually going to be able to be a really good shooter in the league.
Pretty interesting. He was like the first pick, but then has been great, but also really quiet. I feel like nobody talks about him at all.
I just think Detroit.
Maybe
is the answer. They've been bad for most of the season, and now he's picking it up. And like he did defer to like Jeremy Grant for a while. Now Jeremy's out for the year, I think so.
Yeah.
It was there was like the first quarter had like the perfect the full Matisse experience, which was like a couple nice steals, nice duck in I mentioned earlier that Harden got him a layup out of, a couple nice passes that he was in rhythm on. It was like he can't like there's intuitive passes there when he's not like too skittish. But then a fully blown layup in transition because he didn't want to like contort his body to just like take one step towards Isaiah Stewart, get in front of him, and then dunk.
I would have bet my entire 401k that he wasn't going to make a basket on that breakaway.
Yeah, it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear. A few too many dribbles there. But he had a bunch of really nice recovery blocks on Cade without fouling. It's interesting because the thing that one of the most exciting things about with Harden was that he was turning Matisse into an offensive weapon. And I think sometimes it's there and sometimes it's really not. And when you have to pull him out of these games for offense, there's all of a sudden like it's a lot on Joel. And as much as like the bench guys depend on, you need Danny to hit shots, you need Niang to hit shots, Shea, Korkmaz, whoever is in the rotation, you need Matisse to be like survivable offensively, at least a little bit. And a lot of that's on Harden. And when Harden looks like slow, and not even slow, like obviously with the groin, he looks occasionally very slow with the ball in his hands. And when the step back's not working, then he doesn't have that like leverage where they're playing up on that shot. But it's just like there's some passes that he's slow to make, and you can see guys like being open and him not getting it there, and you're like, he likes to play at his own speed at his rhythm, where he likes to reset the offense and just make everybody stand there and do the chess piece thing again. But it'd be nice to like get some free easy points, like quick open looks, and it just doesn't seem like all the time Harden is in that mode. Sometimes he just like defaults back to
fucking mode of his career. Like I'm sorry, I'm being too negative about him, but one thing that really worried me about tonight is the Pistons were playing like a team. There are a lot of teams that are checked out at this point in the season.
Yeah.
The Pistons are this young team that are playing hard.
Sure.
The way that teams will play in the playoffs. And one thing that I noticed defensively is they were not scared of Harden one bit one-on-one. They weren't. Every player who played him, and some to their detriment, some got blown by or whatever, but every player who played him was right up in his fucking face the entire time. That was another thing that made me worried, because against most of these playoff teams, not all of them, but most of them, when they're trying, I mentioned Toronto, I think 6 weeks ago, and a couple people emailed me that I was crazy. I'd be terrified of playing Toronto right now. Whatever. They weren't scared of him at all. They weren't scared of him at all, the way they played him. They just didn't seem concerned. I was worried. It's worrisome.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm not going into the playoffs like high stepping with like there's going to be a faux championship. Absolutely not.
High stepping.
But I still believe in the package, and I believe in the Embiid being the best player on the court for almost any series he's in. and Harden and Maxey it's going to be like, can they figure it out with this much time with the players that are here, with the coach that is unwilling and, too stodgy to change a couple things. And to his credit, Tobias, who was the problem for like the first
I give
3-4 weeks of the Harden era,
100%.
has been fine.
He shoots quickly, decisively. He's made the decision. He had a couple of it's Tobias Harris time possessions tonight, but I think he did that. He was like, hey, I used to play here. This is going to be an easy game. I
Throw
can
him
do
a
this
bone. Give him a
times.
mid-range ISO. You gotta.
Yeah. But I agree with you. He has bought in, at least in the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
He's shooting faster than he ever has.
For sure. And there was a time when, Tobias is going to get one charge called on him every game for the rest of his life. Automatic. Nothing you can do about it. You can wave your little finger, Tobias. Doc's never going to challenge it. Like, it's never going to happen. But it does seem like there was one play I was like, okay, learning, adjusting. He catch and go, attack to close out. Defender tried to take a charge. I think it was Olynyk. And Tobias slowed down just enough to where he wouldn't land directly in his crotch. And like the floater. And I was like, that's nice. I like seeing that. I like seeing you more in control of your body. And I want to shout out Tobias on-ball defense because it has been good. On-ball defense, Tobias has been absolutely, legitimately above average. Off-ball defense, horrendous. Terrible, slow, not paying attention, ball watching, all that stuff. Sure. But on ball, which is important without Ben Simmons on the team anymore, Tobias has taken some tough assignments, not necessarily tonight, but he's been like just above average defensively, which he wasn't for most of the season. And so good for him doing that off ball. Pretty hopeless, but sometimes you lose to the Pistons.
We'll talk about the MVP odds. We'll talk about them in a second. We'll talk about the whole MVP thing, the odds now. And then I also want to talk about the potential that a couple of Sixers wouldn't be able to play road games in the Raptors series. We'll talk about that as well. Nikola Jokic at DraftKings now is minus 170 to win the MVP. Joel Embiid plus 135. One amazing thing as well, we had the Rights Ricky Sanchez special on DraftKings before the season started. Will Ben Simmons make his first free throw of the year? That bet is not going to come to fruition. And we're going to give people an option for a second bet. It's amazing that he's not going to shoot a free throw. It's absolutely unbelievable. But Jokic minus 170. Shout out to Ethan from DraftKings who had Embiid at plus 5,000 and just was counting, I'm sure, the down payment on his next home and now won't be doing it. What's Maxey for most improved? He's plus 6,000. Moran will get that. The tournament this weekend is down to the final 3 games.
Not that quiet of a tournament.
What's that? Not that quiet of a tournament.
Not even quiet at all.
Especially not up here where I am. I drive through Jersey City every day. If you bet on any of those 3 games, and you're a new customer to DraftKings, you bet $5 on any team to win, you get $200 in free bets if they win. That's it. Just bet on a team, bet $5. If they win, you get $200 in free bets. Everyone can play free pools as well for the tournament for a shot of your share of $250,000 in prizes. Just join the pool and answer the questions and win. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win. You get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with promo code RTRS this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older. Restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Okay, we'll get to the MVP thing in a second. There was a report from Tim Bontemps that there are a or several Boston Celtics players and Sixers players who would not be able to play in Toronto if the playoffs started right now because of their vaccine mandate. The Celtics have answered vaguely. Doc Rivers answered vaguely today. People are trying to detective their way into who it is. The last game they played in Toronto, that rule was not in effect, so we don't know. they do play in Toronto. My guess is that they're going to have a bunch of players not go there, to cover it up. I have a theory on this. I don't have any inside information on it, but when Thybulle had a close contact in January, I think, they made him isolate for 10 days. And at that point, you did not have to isolate for 10 days if you were vaccinated for a close contact. And that is the only piece of information when I'm looking back that I think about. I know he got COVID, but everybody got fucking COVID, whether vaccinated or not. I know he got COVID, so that isn't evidence of anything. But when they changed the rules, after they changed the rules, he quarantined for 10 days after a close contact, if I remember correctly. That is the only speculation I have. I think some people were speculating Bassey, but I don't know why. So
I don't know anything. That's who I heard it was.
Who, Bassey?
Yeah, but
Well,
I don't know. This is weird.
yeah.
It feels weird to speculate, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not fucking.
It just sucked for the team. If
Doc's not
there's
playing
a
Bassey anyway. He might almost
no.
play him.
Yes.
Imagine if it's he. Oh man, what a gift that
What
would be
if
for
Doc
Doc.
goes,
He'd be
I was gonna play
I would've."
Bassey.
Oh man, I would. Oh, is he there? Oh, he's not there. Oh no. So I don't know. It's weird to speculate on rumors, but it would be a nice gift for Doc if that was the case.
It would be terrible if a rotation player couldn't play at games in Toronto because of the rule. It would really suck. It would be fucking terrible. I guess we'll find out, right?
Fun way to find out.
Yeah.
As if the Sixers aren't weird enough on their own. Now we get this other fun stuff. Should be vaccinated, shouldn't make it an issue. But
Yeah.
with the Sixers, you never know, baby.
All right. So between the last time we talked and now, there was is it Tim Bontemps again with the fucking straw poll? Is that who did the ESPN straw poll?
How many straws does Tim Bontemps have? Someone.
He
Take
took
them
a
from him.
poll of voters, and everything has shifted between the last straw poll and this one, even though Embiid has played amazing the entire time and went from Embiid being the person who was going to win to now Nikola Jokic. And now the odds have shifted, and it looks like it's going to be Jokic. It seems like to me this started shifting when all NBA voting dickhead on the internet got all worried that they couldn't have both Jokic and Embiid on the first team. It's positionless and yada, yada, yada. And I think people are scared of voting for Embiid because of the internet. The internet loves fucking Jokic, and they don't want to get exposed. I think this is Embiid's award this year. I just really think it is. And I think what he has done, it is not just an award of performance, and it's an award of significance. And what he has done this year is the most significant of any NBA star. Like he has been great. He's been their best player on offense, their best player on defense. He carried them through basically a situation which should have derailed the entire season. Instead, it didn't. I believe he deserves MVP. And I don't think there's an accurate reason why over the last 3 weeks it should have changed.
Well, I certainly agree with the second part. I think he's had an excellent year.
He should be the MVP.
He's absolutely. I think if you have any of Embiid, Jokic, or Giannis, they're all like, for me, you're parsing such minutia of like what they do, and it's just, do you value defense and carrying a defense? Do you value defense like Giannis, where he's like gets to help off and be the most terrifying like off-ball defender in the league? Do you say like Jokic is actually, because he forces guys into shots that they don't want to take without having this level of like extreme skill and athleticism on the defensive end, he's actually like actually above average defensively, despite having like no real reason that he is. Plus, with how good of an offensive weapon he is, like it's just what matters more to me. It like,
if you're
maybe I'm a
center-
fairness kid, but like Giannis won one, and then Jokic won one, and
Yes.
it's time for Embiid to get one. There's
It
like
is.
this is just like it's maybe it's silly, but like when
They've
you're
been doing it that way for 50 years.
it's just like give it to them. Like
Yeah.
we're all three of them deserve it. Totally fine. Two of them have had it before. The other one hasn't. And there's a decent chance that the one that hasn't had it before, his team finishes with a better record than the other two. So to me, it's just like, I think guys like, Zach Lowe or whatever are going to parse all the stats and weigh it against each other, and they're on-off splits. And if Zach says Vorps and Schnorps again, I'm going to lose my mind. I love him, but other things rhyme with Vorp.
If he votes for Jokic, I'm considering banning him.
It's just like, guys, just give it to Embiid. It's
It'd
not
be
that.
so
It's not that serious.
great.
What a nice thing for it to be. It's just like give it to. Like I don't know. It's just like they're at a certain point. Like all three of those guys are very, very good. Two of them have the award. One of them doesn't. So give it to the one that doesn't. It should be fair. It should be nice. Let's be nice to each other.
We've all, the news cycle goes so fast. We've all forgotten what the pre-trade Sixers were. Like how that story dominated everything. To keep a team within 2 games of first place during that, with that fucking roster,
Sure.
is insane. He was insane this year. Best player on offense, best player on defense, kept the team alive during all of that. Great story. Just stop it. And the last statement on all of this is the all NBA thing. The NBA is not positionless. Joel Embiid is a center. Nikola Jokic is a center. They are more versatile than centers were 30 years ago. And there are some players that you could say, well, maybe sometimes he's a small forward and sometimes he's a power forward. But there are certain players that are certain positions. It is okay if only one of those players is on first team and one of those players is on
you're being
second team.
contrarian.
No, he's
I think
a center.
it is. Of course, he's a center, but it
Well,
could.
then
The
there's
word
only
could-
one center on the team. Then they should.
But it
change the
doesn't have
rules.
to be. They're not actually playing a real game as the first team, all whatever. They're not actually going to go then play against the second team, all whatever, in a fun all-star thing. It could be front court, back court. It could very easily be front court, back court, and then it's Embiid and Jokic in the front court.
Hold on.
And whoever there. It's just like.
In all pro in football, if there are there's
But the
only
positions
one
in football are
quarterback.
way more real defined than the positions in basketball.
No, there's not certain positions. And by the way, if you want them to change the rules, then they should change the rules. Not say you can vote for him as a forward.
Yeah, they
if
should
they're
change the
putting a
rules.
team together, which is what they're doing. Which
But if
is
they're not
this-
putting a team together.
But in football, they're not putting a team together either. There's only one quarterback. There's this many wide receivers. There's this many running backs. So there's a best and a second best. Sometimes there is, and sometimes you have to make a choice. That's what this is. I just like.
I think it's silly that we're like cosplaying like it's going to be a real team and they have to be. Our Embiid and Jokic going to be able to play together in this fantasy team? Like it doesn't.
Then why are there not 7 wide receivers on the NFL All Pro team?
Well, I don't care. I don't care about the NFL part, but I think for the NBA, it should. We're not arguing one against the other. It's just the NBA on its own should decide. Here are the best 5 players in the league, or here are the best, or this season, or here if you want to delineate it between front court and back court, then fine. But there should be more maneuverability because the idea of like
Why?
because if
Every
you're going to
other
have it,
sport
then you
has
should
a
have it.
team.
If Embiid or Jokic is not on like here's the 5 best players in the league this season, then then change the system because it's wrong. They are 2 of the 5 best players in the league.
I just don't understand. In other sports, they do this. In other sports, they pick positions. Like everybody in the NBA likes to think they're so fucking. It's position. It's not positionless. Chris Paul's a point guard. Devin Booker's a 2 guard. Tobias Harris is a 4. Joel Embiid's a center. If Joel Embiid wasn't a center, they would play him with other centers, but they don't because he's a center. It's a team. Sometimes you're on the first team. Sometimes you're on the second team.
But it's not a team. That's the thing.
But it is a team.
It's not.
It is the all NBA team. Then why is it 5? Then why is it not 9?
I don't know. But if they're going to do it, they should have it to be the 5 best players in the league,
Team.
and Embiid should be there. It should be front court, back court, just like the All-Star game is. Front court, back court, whatever.
Should be a team. Just as long
Do
as
you want them
they're
to go then
positions.
play, like go around the world, like playing
No,
against other 5 best, the 5 best
the,
of
the
each
all-pro
individual
team
position?
in the NFL does not do that.
I don't care about the NFL though. I don't have an opinion about the NFL. I have an opinion about the NBA.
In college, when they do the all Ivy League team, what do?
I don't know.
Well, you're Mr. College. What the all Big Ten? Is it the 5 best players, or is it a center, 2 forwards?
I'm genuinely not sure. I don't know.
Okay. I think if you are going to pick the all NBA team and you're going to have 3 teams and it's 15 players, it makes sense that they have the positions that they've always had in the NBA, and they currently have it. And if they don't, I agree with you in that if they want them to be the 5 best, then it's the 5 best or whatever. But that's going to change a lot of stuff. Then the arguments get even sillier because the amount of guards and wings, I think people would complain if it was 5 centers on the team, if the 5 best players.
Just do front court, backcourt.
I don't know. The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week comes from, hold on, where's my rundown? Comes from Kaiser Soze. When did our fan base become such pussies? Now we're scared.
A long time, forever. For me, forever.
Now we're scared of the Nets. What the fuck? I want the Nets the first round. If you think this is a championship team, then they can beat anyone. I guess everybody forgets we lost to the Hawks last year after we were the number 1 seed. LOL. It's a guy after your own heart.
Yeah, I mean they got to beat people. This team needs to be better. They got to get to the fucking conference finals for the second time in my life at some point.
There was a guy that emailed. We'll get to emails in a second. There's a guy that emailed. He was like complaining about me being negative about things. And he was like, who hurt you? And I was just like, have you been around? The Sixers, every single year, have hurt us.
That is different
and creative ways. They've hurt us. The Sixers. That's who's hurt us. The mailbag in a second. Big Barker dog beds. So we got a funny story about my dog. Our actual bed is high, and I'm getting nervous because he's like 7 or 8 years old now, and he jumps up into the bed and jumps down. So I got him stairs to go from his little bed to our bed to go up and down the bed, and I can't get him to do it. Like I've tried using treats, like little dog stairs, so he's not jumping up and down the bed because I care about his joints. So if anyone has any tips about how to get the dog to go up and down the little dog stairs and not jump up and off the bed, I would appreciate that. The other thing I do for his joints is get him a Big Barker. He sleeps on a Big Barker. He has for years now. It's the only real dog bed on the market, the only dog bed that truly supports your dog's joints, that makes your dog healthier. We got a couple of Process Pups this week. We got Charlie, a 13-month-old golden retriever. Charlie's on the Instagram, lives in New York now, but Charlie is from Delaware. And we got Mason, a 2-year-old black lab Pyrenees mix. Mason is on the Instagram. Like I said, if you truly care about your dog's health, if you truly want your dog to have health not only now when your dog's young, but as your dog gets older, without creaky joints, without the pains of arthritis, you got to get your dog a Big Barker. It's been proven by PennVet. And if you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, you get not only the Big Barker, but 2 Process Pup patches. You send us a photo. We put them on the website. We put your dog on the Instagram as well. Make your dog an official Process Pup. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. A 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, they'll give you a full refund and pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Woof woof.
All right. This comes from Samek. Long-time listener. Basketball question. Why do you guys think that the Sixers beat reporters aren't pressing Doc Rivers on his rotations and backup center problems? When I watch the post-game interviews, the most pressing questions are usually, how do you feel about backup center or your rotation tonight? Why can't they simply ask Doc, is he okay with playing older vets who make mistakes but not okay with playing young guys?
Well, the answer is yes to that question.
I think they don't press him because he makes them feel like an asshole when they do it. He's, they compare him to the Eagles. The Eagles reporters are fucking, rabid after games with that stuff. Doc has sort of set the bar that he's not going to fucking deal with it for too long, I think. Right? Wouldn't you say that has sort of pushed the press away from asking tougher questions more often?
Maybe. I don't know. I would ask like Derek or Kyle or whatever. I don't know if they feel like they have questions that they would like to ask but that they can't, or if they feel like they can do it in a way that's less confrontational that still gets the answers about it. I'm not really sure.
Would you say that they're pussies?
I would love to ask them if they feel like they're pussies. He's probably better.
Non-basketball question. Currently a med student in Philly, and I received an email regarding joining the NFT club at the med school. The club, quote, seeks to better understand and show how NFTs can be utilized in medicine. Recently, I was talking to a friend in the club, and he was talking about how NFTs would allow for patients to better control their health records. I, for the life of me, cannot understand why the heck this club is necessary, how Twitter art would solve any of the many problems that exist within our healthcare system. I'm trying to mind my own business, but I want to vocalize my resistance. Do I launch an anti-NFT in medicine club? Or should I apply for the leadership positions that they have and Trojan horse my way to the top to hopefully disband it later?
I don't know. People love clubs.
Yeah. Can you imagine you're in med school and you post a thing? This is the anti-NFT in medicine club. What are those meetings like? What do you talk about?
There should be better use of your time.
I think so too. Excuse me, hold on. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. This comes from Ben. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Oh, was Mike not around for this? He wasn't, right? He wasn't. We got a comment on YouTube. CJ, I'm correct in this, right? Correct. Okay. We got a comment on the YouTube from Jacob.
CJ pops up to just nod.
I just asked CJ about this because I forgot to ask Zoe when he was on. Comment from Jacob on the YouTube said, no disrespect to CJ, but he should not be mentioned in the greetings for the emails. He did not go through all of this. He's not one of the originators. No disrespect to CJ, but he shouldn't be mentioned in the email greeting. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think CJ should be mentioned.
Really?
I'm happy to mention CJ.
Okay. So
He's here. I hear about the emails when I'm here
on the pod.
So maybe
right.
I shouldn't be mentioned in the email greetings. So if CJ does any more than I do, then he should be mentioned. I get a real kick out of that kid. I get a kick out of him. I like him.
Yeah, me too. I like that kid as well. This comes from Ben. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Love the pod. Hope you're doing well. Few questions with a mix of basketball and non-basketball. Mark Stein and the Rickies Nov. Jake Fisher is not of the Ricky. No offense, Jake. Mark Stein and Jake Fisher had a Spotify green room last Friday where Fisher talked about how there are rumors that ownership isn't fully bought in on the team long term, but that might cause them to go for broke to win a championship and flip the team. Want to get your takes on this. This has to be better than the GM trading all the picks for a mediocre third star. Is there anything similar to this that comes to mind? I don't know what he means comes to mind. I think that now that ownership is not going to get a arena, I think they will eventually sell the team. And I think they could go for broke. I think the funny business they just pulled with the season tickets with everybody is part of, money now. Maybe they raise revenue and they try to get rid of the team. I don't think it would be impossible.
That is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The idea that they're going to sell the team and they're going to go for broke to try to win a championship to do it. What a wonderful collection of words and phrases. I love that. Like, I would love it if there was some, now I'm just thinking about like doing it as a movie or something, but like if the Sixers owners had to be like, we're going to prison unless we win an NBA championship. Like that. If those are the stakes, I'm in. Like I like those stakes and I feel them. And I feel like the Sixers owners, at least some of them, probably should go to prison if they don't win an NBA championship, and maybe for some other reasons. I don't know. But I would like the idea that they are willing to go over the tax and pay who they got to pay and keep paying a bunch of money for it. Not my money. I don't give a shit. Get in there.
Did you hear what they did with season tickets? A lot of people.
Is this recently?
Yeah.
No.
So right after the Harden trade was when season ticket renewals were. And I'm not going to tell the whole story, but the short story is a bunch of people who are season ticket holders, longtime season ticket holders, got an email that said your season tickets are under review.
Wow.
And they revoked their season tickets for selling too many of them, which is in the contract. But oddly enough, they had not invoked that clause for the last, like I've never heard anybody get in trouble for that. And by the way, in Ticketmaster, in the Sixers app, I wonder if I could show somebody here. When you look at your tickets, right on the ticket, it says, do you want to resell this on Ticketmaster? So they took tickets away from people who were selling too many of them. I heard from a bunch of people who have had tickets for more than like a decade. So now look, if you have to sell 37 pair of the 41 pair just to afford them, I guess my question to you would be like, I got rid of mine. Might be like, maybe you don't need them, but it is fucked up that they decided to do it now.
That's what they do, baby.
Yeah. My non-basketball question is in regard to Will Smith's slap of Chris Rock at the Oscars, which is clearly an homage to Joel threatening to slap the shit out of Shake in the bubble. Have either of you either slapped someone or been slapped by someone?
Never.
I was punched in the face once by a kid named Andy Boyle in high school. I had no idea it was coming. Slapping, I had a roommate right out of college.
When was the last time you talked to Andy Boyle? Is this a shout out?
No, high school. High school. I haven't talked to him since then.
Do you know what he's doing now?
Wow.
Andy Boyle? No. Do you?
The CJ has him in his bedroom. He pulls out his head.
just like this, like fucking Lord.
I got him for you, pal.
Hey, boss. And when I was like 23, when I graduated college, I lived with my friend Dustin. He was my roommate. I knew him in college. He was my roommate. And for a very short time, we used to go to bars and drink Yingling and Jaeger, and we would slap each other in the face as hard as we could. And,
interesting.
Yeah.
Collegiate activity.
Post-collegiate activity. This comes from Anthony. Is it your opinion that Harden is severely holding back until the playoffs where he'll snap back into the action his first game here? Or is what we see we're going to get? I think we answered this, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be more. I hope there's going to be more. When he's been extremely on during the regular season, it has looked like, this is as good of a team as the Sixers have had in my lifetime. But hasn't been on that much. It's been on some. So I'm interested to see them all playing at the height of their abilities, at the height of their effort at the same time.
Non-basketball, have you ever read a more painful collection of words as this? Reimagining the future of entertainment and hospitality, MGM Resorts International is launching Las Vegas' first ever NFT-enabled live performance experience for world-famous dance crew Jabberwocky's newest production, Timeless. In partnership with NFT leader Yellowheart, MGM Resorts developed the Jabberwocky's White Glove NFT ticket collection to deliver a new immersive fan experience where attending the show is only the beginning. What the fuck?
Have you heard of taking a picture at a show?
Jabberwocky's ticket experience. Final email comes from PJ, regular emailer. Hi, CJ, Spike, Mike, and team. CJ first. I see what you're doing, PJ. While I don't personally care about the MVP too much, I'm hoping Embiid wins it so he can check that box and rest more in future seasons. But it seems like the sports media is getting horny to give it to Jokic again this year. I don't get it. He has great stats, but he's on a 6th seed. Not to mention his dirty play caused Morris to miss 4 months. Will there be an official Ricky response if Jokic wins? Do we get angry and argue with Denver fans on Twitter, or is it loser shit to care about a regular season award?
I would like it for Embiid because Embiid wants it.
Yeah, he wants it. He does want it.
My slightly... I don't know if it's... You can tell me if it's boring. But the reframing of the MVP award itself to be more about, like, undoubtedly for 2 years in a row, Joel Embiid has been thought of as an MVP finalist.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kicks ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like, that's awesome. He's one of the best players in the league. Like, I think when we look back at his career in 10, 15, 20, whatever years, it'd be nice to see him having won an MVP and hopefully a championship in there or a second round series even. But I'm not at the point where I'm like looking back already. So just like in the moment now, it's like, yeah, he's in the conversation. He's one of the best players in the league. Whatever, some like random collection of voters, like some of whom got grandfathered into this vote and some of whom do deserve it. What they decide, like, does it really matter that much? But I get in the future it will. So I'm happy he's in the conversation. I'm happy he's healthy. I'm happy he's kicking ass. I think if he stays healthy, eventually he'll just win one. But I don't necessarily.
You don't want to miss your chance. You know? You don't want to just like miss your chance.
I understand that.
You know?
But I'm enjoying it now. I'm saying for now, I'm not going to care about it as much. I'll probably care about it later if, when the era is over for Embiid.
As far as, oh my God. Okay, before we go, CJ, there's a Sharp just sent me I don't know if it's video or not, from Doc Rivers. Look at that tweet from NBC Sports Philly on the bench versus James.
Yeah, you blame James.
Yeah. I just want to see if there's video of it, video and audio of it. I would just love to hear it.
There is. CJ, do you have it? I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, CJ's
Look
getting
at
it.
that.
Yeah.
I'm producing this show, CJ.
Jabberwockies NFT white glove ticket immersive experience. All right, let's hear it.
Well, they didn't struggle. They didn't get a lot of shots, in their defense. I think during that stretch, it was more James, than them. So, it's just a tough night.
The bench.
Yeah, I mean, they did struggle. Yes, they were not. They didn't have a ton of opportunities, but they also struggled. But I get Doc. He doesn't have as much time to really luxuriate in his answers like we do on this podcast platform here.
Yeah, he's got to try to protect the salary. He realized that not blaming the players, he should have been blaming Ben all year. It wouldn't have been so much trouble at the end of the year.
That's true.
And PJ's non-basketball question: reimagining the future of entertainment and hospitality, MGM Resorts International is launching Las Vegas' first ever NFT-enabled live performance of the world-famous dance crew Jabberwocky's newest production, Timeless. I'm just kidding. That's it. How many games do we... Okay, so here's the final standings. Not the final standings, the current standings. Miami's in first. The Bucks, after beating the Nets, are a half game behind them. Boston is in third. The Sixers are fourth, 2.5 out. And then right behind them are the Bulls and the Raptors tied at 44 and 32. So, Mike O'Connor was talking about tanking for the fourth seed, but the Raptors could end up in the fourth seed.
Sure.
So you got to try it. You just got to play.
Yeah, I'm not going to play the matchups. They should play better. And if they win games and finish with the top seed, then great. And if they don't, then they got to beat anybody anyway. CJ, can you put that Bill Simmons tweet up for me?
No.
I just Bill Simmons becoming sports and pop culture Magic Johnson of the most generic looking tweets you've ever seen in your whole entire life.
Well, you either die a hero or live it long enough to.
I just gotta fire this joke off. I got it. Let me get the quotes ready, and I'll say thanks as if I'm Giannis, and I'll say love.
Now,
and that's funny, and that's comedy, and this is why he's this edgy guy, and he's been edgy for so long, for so many decades. Bill Simmons has been just edginess.
The tweet says, because remember, not everybody's watching it. You even hate the people who watch it.
I hate myself.
The tweet from Bill Simmons says, "Please don't turn in your MVP ballots yet. Thanks, love Giannis."
And also, quotes. Love Giannis is also in quotes. The whole thing is in quotes. So who is saying it? Bill. Who's saying it, Bill? Explain this excellent joke.
By the way, what could you get Giannis at right now? Hold on. I might want to... Now, I have money on the Bucks to win the title from the preseason. You can get Giannis at plus 1,000 at DraftKings. Does anyone here do a Bill Simmons impression? Read that tweet.
We'll get Kelly Cow on it.
Poor Bill. Without Bill, this podcast wouldn't exist.
Oh boy.
Well, it's the truth, but you got to know when to get out, says the podcast. The Sixers been here 10 years, but All right. Love Giannis. We'll talk to you next time. Anyway, yeah, Sixers in 4th, Bulls and Raptors tied for 5th, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 is Cleveland, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Atlanta. So,
And shout out former Delaware Blue Coat, former Sixer Braxton Key for getting in this game and being on an NBA team and playing pretty well. Small ball 5. Honestly, Sixers win 2 championships if Braxton Key is just allowed to play.
Isaiah Stewart is good.
Yeah.
He's a useful player, man.
Absolutely
really
a useful player.
Yeah. I mean, he, whatever. We don't have to talk about Isaiah Stewart. We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lick Face.